It might not feel like it's important when you're healthy and you're young and you're about busy living your life and you don't think that you're going to have any illnesses. And insurance, in that way, is there. Everybody's going to get sick. I mean, I can tell you, everybody's going to get sick unless you die young from a tragedy. But illness is going to take out most of us. So it's not a matter of if, it's about when and how. Okay, so with our bodies wearing and tearing, so investing in insurance will.
So if the fact that several persons in her family has cancer, including breast cancer, but the tests show negative of genetic, what would you say to that? Would that be some form of miscalculation, misdiagnosis, or could it be? My mom died of cancer and it tore me apart. Hi, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is Brian and this is the Ivy Cancer Podcast. The death of my mom had inspired me to interview people with cancer or who have been affected to help spread awareness. The broader my subscribers are, the more people will be motivated to share their story. So if you come across this platform and you would like to help me achieve this goal, please hit the subscribe button. It will be greatly appreciated. A video will be uploaded every Wednesday. Thank you. All right. So before I start this podcast, I normally say a word of prayer. But given that you are my guest, I would find out if you would love to take that and say a word of prayer for us.
All right, thanks, no problem. All right, let's bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you today with hearts filled with this special season, the Easter season, Lord. We just thank you for the gift of your sacrifice, of your Son, so that we may see glory. Lord, I just want to ask for a special blessing over Brian and the Ivy Cancer Podcast, Lord. It's doing such a good job, Lord. We hope that you, through your mighty hand and blessings, it will reach those that it needs to reach. Thank you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. The Chief Executive Officer, founder of the Livewell Pharmacy. She has nearly 2 decades of experience in the pharmaceutical sector. She served on the board of the National Health Fund as a member of the Human Resource Medical Research and Review and Medication Error Committee, as well as several committees of the Pharmacy Council of Jamaica. Dr. Barrows, Miss Jamaica World 2004, hold a pharmacy degree from the University of Florida and currently lecturer at the premier university at Mona and Technology Campus of Jamaica. Tonoya, welcome to the Ivy Cancer Podcast.
Thank you.
So, first I want to say, I really, really appreciate you taking the time out to give us this interview. And I hope, because we are on live now as well on TikTok, and I hope my listeners learn something tonight.
Okay.
So before we go ahead, I want you to tell us, who is Tonoya Barrows?
That question never fails to stop me. Some people say what you do is not who you are, but it sort of is for me. I am a pharmacist. I am a wife. I am a mother. I am a friend. I am an advocate for better health, patient care. I believe in the power of the mind. I believe in the importance of health, not just physical health, but also mental wellness, mental health. to achieve a beautiful and satisfying life. So that's who I am. I'm a woman who strives to be best for my family, for myself, but also to give back to my patients or customers on a small and a large scale to live a better life.
That's good. I appreciate your contribution to society. I can't help but notice that you once was Miss Jamaica 2020, no, 2004.
Mm-hmm.
What was that experience like?
It was 20 years ago. It was out of character because I'm more of an introverted person, a quiet person, a behind the counter type of person. So that experience was pushing myself outside of my comfort zone and going on a stage, presenting myself in a public arena. It was the most challenging thing I've ever done prior to motherhood. Because it's so out of character for me. I'm usually the shy person, the person in the corner, the person kind of, behind the scenes helping people. So it really was, I was boosted by other persons to do it. And that's actually why I did it. It was on recommendation of family and friends. Oh. And it was life changing in that way where I saw that to get through this world, to make an impact, you can't stay that small voice in the corner. Sometimes you have to step out and go out there and make a name for yourself, be bold, be brave, in whomever and wherever you go in this world. So my focus at the time wasn't so much the modeling and thing, but I did a lot of outreach, a lot of charities, went to a lot of high schools across the island, medical missions, and just tried to, change somebody's thought process or access or sometimes just a small seed that you plant, just one word or one sentence you say to somebody and it can change their life. So that's what Miss Jamaica was for me.
That was a lovely experience for you.
Hi. YouTube have two ways to push your channel. With that said, I'm asking you two quick favors. If you like what I'm doing and want to support my growth, please give me a thumbs up so that YouTube could send my videos out to like-minded viewers just like you. 2. I've noticed that 70% of you who have revisited this channel have not yet subscribed. Please hit that subscribe button. That way my channel will grow. And my promise to you is to give you more content with substance just like these. Do we have a deal? Thank you.
From the challenges.
Yes, apart from the challenges, it was a lovely experience when I got to the point of after winning, and you don't have to be on that stage and answering questions. You could now just relax and fall into the role and actually help people.
Were you expecting to win?
Oh no.
That was far from your mind.
No, yeah, I didn't. I tend to approach things very humbly, with humility. So I don't go into anything, even a job interview or even when I start my business, I don't go in thinking that I am going to win and I'm going to take it all and or I feel entitled to anything. So no, it's always a surprise. I'm more into the process, working hard, doing what I have to do, and then I think the results will be what I need. So whether I won or not, the process would have been the journey for me.
Okay. Why choose pharmacists?
Well, healthcare was my choice from childhood, I guess. When you're good at the sciences, your teachers and your mentors tend to set you up, you should do sciences, once I feel that you have the aptitude. So I got into medical school in Cuba and pharmacy school at University of Technology. And I brought the decision down to actually an interview with the then chief. My parents somehow knew somebody who knew the president of the Medical Association of Jamaica. And he got on a call with me and he told me the difference between being a pharmacist and a doctor, and he being a doctor. So he said, you want to help, if that's your base, you'll help more as a pharmacist in many ways, because you get to be firsthand with the customers, you get to spend more time with them, you get to make much more of a difference in their lives. As physicians, we diagnose and we spend a limited amount of time with the patient. But it's the other healthcare professionals like pharmacists that spend a great amount of time accessing the patients. And he said you could do that. You could help and have a family life and have a life that is more fulfilling. He said if you do medicine, it's not your other life is not as fulfilling. So work-life balance, there's no such thing.
Yeah.
So I actually made a choice based on being able to help, having the greatest access to patients in the community setting, one-on-one, and being able to have fulfilling family life. That's right.
Okay. You also serve on the National Health Funds. For those who are watching on TikTok, most of my followers, let me not say followers, because I don't like using the word followers. My family on TikTok, most of them are from the UK. So can you explain to us, what is the National Health Fund in Jamaica?
So in the UK, I think you have something called the NHS system, which is like the public system where you can access medicines and the healthcare system, right?
Yeah.
In Jamaica, we have the public sector system and we have the private sector system. And the National Health Fund sort of gives access to both. So in the public health system, the National Health Fund provides all the medicines, all the drugs, and medical supplies to the public system. So they procure, they purchase, they distribute on behalf of the Ministry of Health. They also manage the pharmacy services in the public health system. So they operate all the public pharmacies and employ all the pharmacists and pharmacy technicians in the healthcare public system. On the other end, for the private sector, they provide a National Health Fund insurance. So it's a subsidy to make your medication more affordable. So once you're a citizen of Jamaica, living in Jamaica, or resident of Jamaica, you apply for this card. They cover, say, 20-something diseases, and then you can use that card at a private pharmacy for help with the purchase of your medication. It's available to all. So asthma, breast cancer, prostate cancer, hypertension, diabetes, schizophrenia, arthritis. It covers quite a lot of conditions. So it makes healthcare more affordable on the private side as well. And that's in a nutshell.
How important is insurance?
It might not feel like it's important when you're healthy and you're young and you're busy living your life and you don't think that you're going to have any illnesses. But it really becomes important when you have a serious illness, a long-term chronic illness, because the expense, the cost of healthcare is one of the major reasons why people don't get the help that they need. And insurance, in that way, is there. Everybody's going to get sick. I mean, I can tell you, everybody's going to get sick unless you die young from a tragedy. But illness is going to take out most of us. So it's not a matter of if, it's about when and how. Okay? So with our bodies wearing and tearing, so investing in insurance will benefit every single person.
Okay.
To give you access to your healthcare, make it more affordable.
You said everyone is going to be taken out by sickness if you do not die by some tragic or whatever. What makes you say that?
Well, the statistics shows. Think about it. We're not immortal beings, right? So two things are sure: we're born, and we die. And when you think about it, very rarely do you have a person who is taken into the heavens. We know our Bible and we know that there are very few people, I think 2, Enoch and Elijah. Don't quote
Right.
me. Don't
Yeah.
quote anybody. That were taken up, right?
Mhm.
So we all are perishing. We are all we wear and tear is happening to our bodies with each age, with each day, with each year, month, each year that we're on this earth. And so what usually causes the end of our life is an illness, or we just stop breathing, or if you want to say those who just die in their sleep and natural causes, they stop breathing and their heart stops beating. And we could say that that is some sort of illness or dysfunction or wear and tear, or the lifetime has ended. So that's why I say not to be morbid, or not to be to make anybody get any anxiety over it. It's just a fact that we're all born and we all will die.
Okay.
So how we fill our years in between those two moments is how we take care of ourselves, right?
Yeah.
So our mental health and our physical health, how we puts the quality in our years.
Okay. Well, we're still trying to get to know who is Tonoya. So because I've some questions, and I know you're probably being a bit, of your schedule to go back to, but want to get to know more about you. You own your own pharmacy. Is that correct? One of the most, I would say, one of the most recent and striving pharmacies in Portmore. And the name Livewell Pharmacy, it says a lot. Do you come up with that name?
Yes, we came up with the name. First of all, it's not me alone, it's a team. So I don't own the pharmacy. It's my whole team. So my family and everybody who works at the pharmacy, they play a role in making it a success. So I don't really go around saying I am the owner. If you ever look on my resume, you'll only see like managing director, or I don't really go around saying I own it, because I know that the product of the pharmacy is just not me alone, right? So it's coming from what do we want to do? I remember doing an interview back when I was at Miss Jamaica, and I meant it though, but I said my pharmacy, it's all about access. So I remember one time helping a patient, and the patient brought me couldn't afford a medication, so I gave it to them for free. Not that I'm saying that I'm going to give everybody for free, but in this moment I saw a need, right? So I paid for the medication myself. And the patient came back? The patient came back a week later with mangoes. And the mangoes, the value of the mangoes was way more than the value of the prescription. And that touched my heart when I was just, I wasn't the owner of a pharmacy, but I said, I cannot see somebody need a medication and not give it to them.
Right.
Also, seeing how persons are treated like as an employee once, a team member, I said if I had the power or the power to be a decision maker, I would make my team members' lives better.
Right.
So my staff better. So it's not even just live well for my patients and who support the business, but living well for the persons who work for us, with us, beside us in the pharmacy, that they can live well as well.
So that's how the name came about, Live Well.
Yes, it's about what is the mission,
right,
of the pharmacy.
What is the difference between a technician and a pharmacist?
Okay. So the pharmacist, let's talk about what pharmacists legally can do. So the difference is that pharmacists can legally dispense medications to the patient from a prescription. A technician cannot. So they are unable to take the medication and hand it to you. They don't have they're not legally allowed to do that. The pharmacist is the professional, the person between the prescription and the patient in providing that product and the counseling to that product. Another difference would be the years of study. So for a pharmacist, has to have that sort of knowledge and experience and expertise to be legally registered as a pharmacist. So it's a degree program, at least 4 years, but all the way up to 6 or more years for a doctor of pharmacy, and then you have residency. So the amount of knowledge and this, years of study makes a difference. So the pharmacist has the background to determine whether a medication is appropriate, has some training in diagnosis, have some training in all the information that makes a drug best for a patient. The how can I say, how the drug works, what the drug does to the body, and what the body does to the drug. So there's a lot more science involved, which we package now to be able to say to a patient or being a healthcare team and give you the best therapy. A technician more functions as a assistant to the pharmacist to help them in carrying out those roles. So to help assist in filling the prescription, packaging the right product, labeling the prescriptions, and some amount of counseling for over-the-counter medicines and things like that. But the in-depth part of it is left to the pharmacist.
How important it is to get the prescription correct?
Life or death sometimes. It could be life or death sometimes. But for the most part, it is to make sure if you get the prescription correct, the person is getting the right drug, the right dose to treat their illness. So if they don't get the right drug or the right dose to treat their illness, what will happen to the illness? It will get worse, right? The other part of it is unnecessarily exposing a patient to side effects of a drug that they weren't supposed to get. Thankfully, with most doses, the side effects are mild or can be easily reversed. But when a patient is exposed to the wrong drug for a prolonged period of time, then, more serious adverse effects can happen.
Okay. My mom died of breast cancer. And statistics shows that it's not only female are prone to get breast cancer, male as well. At least 1% of male in the population will diagnose with breast cancer. Is breast cancer something that we can prevent? And if we can, how could we prevent ourselves from falling into that category?
That's the biggest question. How can we prevent cancer, breast cancer, any cancer? So there are certain chemical exposures, stress, lifestyle that is shown to increase the risk of cancer. If the patient has a genetic effect, we can try and prevent it. But in very rare instances, can we actually stop it from ever happening? We can only modify our risk factors, reduce our exposure to certain things, manage our stress to try and prevent diseases in general. Where breast cancer is concerned, though, I could say, if you want to talk about strictly preventing it, is if you have a high risk or a lot of persons in your family you notice have breast or ovarian cancer, especially in the UK, you can access a genetic test, and that genetic test could determine whether you have the gene for breast cancer or a high risk. And then to prevent it, you have persons who remove their breast tissue to prevent it. So in strictest terms, that's the only way in which you would prevent it. If you think about Angelina Jolie, I don't know if your listeners, somebody should, I don't know how young they are, right? But Angelina Jolie found to have the breast cancer genes. Her mother, her aunt, a lot of people in her family had it, and she removed her breast tissue. So in that case, she prevented it.
Right. For
the rest of us, we just have to eat well, live well, check early, trying to do your checks to see, catch it early, but to prevent it, no, not so much.
The last podcast I had was with a musician, and her mom was diagnosed with breast cancer twice. But several persons in her family found to have cancer, including breast cancer. And she done the genetic tests, but the tests showed that she do not have it running the family. It's not a genetic thing for her. We were trying to remember the name. I said it's BRCA1. I'm not sure if that was correct. Was that correct for the genetic test?
BRCA1.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So if the fact that several persons in her family has cancer, including breast cancer, but the tests show negative of genetic, what would you say to that? Would that be some form of miscalculation, misdiagnosis, or could it be factual?
No, it could be. No, because she has it. Remember, you don't have to inherit everything from your parents.
Mm-hmm.
So it's two people coming together with genetic material. So that's why we have our own features. I mean, when we are born from our parents, we don't. Some of us don't even look very much like our parents, or some of us look like a mix between the two. So the same way you have your facial features and your body type and your skin color and your hair color and your eye color, it's in the same way that you inherit. You can inherit, or you don't have to inherit everything from your parents, good or bad. And so if she tested and she does not have the gene, it's fine. It's a positive test. What would be interesting to note is if her mother, who does have breast cancer, has the genetic risk, but that at this point maybe it would make sense to test it because she has it, so we already know she has it, and it's quite costly. So no, I wouldn't say it is a misdiagnosis. It's just that she did not inherit the gene. Does that mean that she can relax and say, I'll never get breast cancer? Remember that a lot of breast cancers, there is no gene that is found in those patients. So it's not genetics alone, right? It's just, it can happen, the mutation can happen within that person. So it's not something that was inherited, but the breast cells mutated to form a tumor within, you're the originating person, right? So even if you test negative for the breast cancer gene, you still have to do your checks, your own breast examinations with a doctor, and of course, when you're of age, to start getting mammograms.
Her mom, she got her first diagnosis when she was 45, and then she went through a phase of chemotherapy and got rid of it, and the doctor had advised her to remove the breast, and which she did. Unfortunately, 10 years after, it's a recurrent. But I've done some research, and they say to prevent a recurrent of breast cancer, the best thing to do is to remove the breast. But she got it for a second time with the breast was removed. What could be the case of that recurrence?
So did she remove one breast or both breasts?
Both breasts.
Both breasts. When she was diagnosed, was it stage 1, 2, 3? Did it?
She found out at stage 2, I think. She found out at stage 2.
Okay. All right. So when you have early detection or stage 1 detection, it usually means that the cancer is within the breast itself. And so if it is localized to the breast, then removing them would mean you have removed those cells, totally gone from the body, right? If you have a breast cancer that has already moved, so the cells have already escaped from the breast and gone into other parts of the body, then we call that metastasis. Stage 2 usually means it has moved to the lymph nodes, and the lymph nodes is a whole drainage system throughout the whole body. I cannot say for sure for your girlfriend's mom.
No, it's not my girlfriend. It was someone that had on the podcast.
Oh, someone on the podcast. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. That the cells could have gone into her body and were in remission, and then came up 10 years later.
Okay. Diabetes. It's one of the leading causes of death and blindness.
Mm-hmm.
How could we prevent diabetes? My dad passed of diabetes. I would say he had a cardiac arrest, but he had very, very, very bad diabetes. I think,
Severe?
yeah.
Yes, sir.
So he was on insulin,
Okay.
and he had a cardiac arrest after.
Mhm.
How could we prevent ourselves? Even when I'm a cousin, I just found out recently she's now blind, unfortunately, but she have bad diabetes as well.
Okay.
So how could we help ourselves to not go into that kind of predicament?
So for the type 1 diabetic, that's the person who needs insulin right off the bat. If you can't prevent those, because that is where either there's a genetic issue for sure, or an autoimmune disease that destroys the pancreas, which produces insulin. So those are persons who might be slim and young and they have diabetes. We can't prevent for those. But for most of anyone who would have diabetes, it's usually the type 2 diabetes. And that is the one where it's more related to lifestyle. Okay. There's also research going on to show that there are genetic components to that lifestyle as well. Because if you put 10 people in a room and they all have a bad lifestyle, not all of them will develop diabetes. So we understand that lifestyle plays a role, but there are also genetic how our body's made of that will make us at risk for having diabetes. So lifestyle is a major thing with type 2 diabetes. If you are obese, overweight, have lots of fat on your bodies, that increases something called insulin resistance, which can lead you to have diabetes. If you eat very badly, lots of fat and lots of sugar, and you do not exercise, these things increase your risk for diabetes, right? Again, it's the wear and tear on your pancreas and on your liver, especially both of those two, that create the whole syndrome of diabetes. So how we prevent is lifestyle, exercise, and eating well and managing our weight. Right? For those who have diabetes already, the major issue, again, diet and lifestyle. We have people who get diabetes when they're older. So it's about taking the medication properly, because the medication, out there, everybody's saying medication isn't good and medication only treats the symptoms, it doesn't cure. But at the same time, if you have a disease and it is causing significant damage to your body, medication is what I call those miracle pills that keep us living, keeping the disease under control, because we don't control our lifestyle as we should. So to prevent the complication of blindness, it hurts my heart to see somebody who is blinded by diabetes, to see somebody whose feet have been cut off because of diabetes, to see somebody whose kidneys have been damaged because of diabetes, knowing that if they had just controlled their blood sugar levels and cholesterol levels and their blood pressure levels by lifestyle, diet, and exercise and medication, then they wouldn't be where they are.
So lifestyle changes have a lot to play with controlling diabetes.
The biggest change anyone can make is a diet and a lifestyle, exercise, eating well. I'm not saying, and I should use the word diet, because diet don't mean starving to lose weight.
Right.
It means the value of what you're eating. You eat high value items, exercising, keeping moving, and lifestyle talks about stress levels too. Stress brings upon disease. I don't think you'll see a disease that stress is not a factor as well. So just how you live your life reduces the severity of your diseases. Because remember, we started off the podcast by saying all of us will experience some wear and tear or some ailment, right? in life as we go on. Just like a car, when you buy it brand new, it's crisp and pretty. But as the years go on the car and it's now 200,000 miles and it's a 10-year-old, 20-year-old, 30-year-old car, you start to see the changes, not a new car anymore. So I think lifestyle and medication affect the severity of our diseases.
Fatty liver. What is fatty liver?
Well, what I understand when patients say to me, you mean a patient was diagnosed with fatty liver?
Yeah, it's something that's been coming across my research a lot, and I just would like you to break down what it is, and how could we really prevent fatty liver?
All right, so fatty liver is a non-alcoholic disease of the liver. So for example, we know alcoholics or alcohol use is the major chemical that we expose ourselves to that damages our liver. So fatty liver is more about obesity. We see it increase with how obesity is increasing, where there are little fat deposits in the liver, and those fat deposits cause the liver to be damaged, to get swollen, and to damage the functions of the liver. It's definitely increasing more because of the fact that we are all gaining more weight. We are not as slim as our ancestors were. And by meaning ancestor, could be your grand aunt who used to walk a lot more, who used to eat whole, real foods, the carrot from in the garden and the eggs from the chickens, whereas we are eating a lot more processed foods. We're also not as active. We're also sitting at our computers for 8 hours a day, which, by the way, is showing that sitting down at a desk can be even more risky to your health than smoking. And we know how bad smoking is. But the fact that people who are just sitting around and the whole modernization of the world is causing us to be more obese and to get more diseases. So fatty liver is something that is definitely increasing in this world today, usually related to obesity. And it is the literal presence of fat deposits in the liver.
Okay. So it is important as well. It's go back to, say, our diet, our lifestyle have a lot to play.
Mm-hmm.
How important, how our hormone impact our lifestyle? How our hormone contribute to sickness? What role does our hormone play within our body?
So our body is designed to respond to hormones. So our estrogen, our testosterone, and all the other hormones that, I won't bother to stress anybody with the long words. But our body, the hormones have a role. So I would want to call them messengers. So the hormones will tell our body to react in certain ways. How hormone imbalances affect our diseases is either they're underperforming their functions or they're overperforming their functions, right? And the question is, what causes these hormonal imbalances? Now, it could be genetic, where a patient's genetic makeup means that over time they have low thyroid, high thyroid, low testosterone, just throwing some out there. Or it could be the interaction of our interaction with the environment that causes hormonal imbalances. So the foods that we eat, the stress that we are under puts our body out of sync. All right. The food we eat, the stress, the physical activity, the chemical exposures in our environment. What type of job are we? Where are we working? Are we exposed to chemicals? That can cause imbalances. And with imbalances, then you have diseases. So you have thyroid diseases and you have testosterone levels for some men affects their ability to even perform sexually, right? Or but even as low fatigue and unable to function. So our hormonal life is very important.
I was going to get to that as well with the men. A lot of men, especially when they become of a certain age, have erectile dysfunction. And I think one of those contributing factor is
Testosterone.
your testosterone. That's correct.
Yeah.
How could
So
we balance our testosterone?
All right. So if you have an erectile dysfunction problem, the doctor may order a testosterone level. And if it is low, then we can supplement you with artificial testosterone hormone to balance you back. But for most people with erectile dysfunction, it's actually not low testosterone though. It's actually more related to conditions like diabetes, cholesterol, hypertension. Those are the conditions that more cause erectile dysfunction than low testosterone, statistically.
Oh, really?
Right. So the blood vessels of the in the can I say can I use medical terms?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So the blood vessels in the penis are actually very, very small. And so they can be affected by cholesterol. And if they become blocked because of cholesterol plaques, then the blood flow can't fill the engorge the penis to form an erection. So that's just one example. Diabetes, there's also damage to blood vessels and also nerves, nerve endings, which can lead to erectile dysfunction. And so the research is even showing that when a man has erectile dysfunction, within 5 years they might start having heart issues because it's the same damage to the vessels that are continuing on. So erectile dysfunction testosterone is one of the reasons, but for most people, if you check it, they may have diabetes or high blood pressure or high cholesterol or other lifestyle conditions happening.
Fibroids.
Mm-hmm. What's that? Fibroids?
Yeah. What is fibroids?
So I knew I was going to take an exam today. So fibroids are masses which occur in women within their uterus. So they're non-cancerous growths within the woman, and it's known to be hormonally mediated. The growth tends to be because of hormonal influence. So the fibroid itself is just a mass of like fibrous tissue, muscle that is within the female. Are they bothersome? It depends. If you have fibroids and you want to have a child and the fibroid masses are large enough, then it would affect the growth and development of the baby. But in terms of really bothering you, most persons may have fibroids and never really have an issue. A lot of women develop fibroids, especially in our population. So it's almost something that happens.
So women can get pregnant while having a fibroids.
So, as I said before, you can have your kids. You can have a baby and have fibroids. In fact, you might got pregnant, and then because of all the hormonal changes with pregnancy, fibroids also appear and start to grow because of the influence of the hormones. In some cases, though, the fibroids are too large and so affect the growth and development because they're occupying the same space, the same room as the baby. So if you have fibroids, it's something that you want to discuss with your doctor about whether the presence of your fibroids, the number and the size would affect the normal growth and development of your baby. Then what the doctor would do would be to surgically remove them.
Okay, as we wrap up, I was motivated by this podcaster by the name of Stephen Stephen
Bartlett.
no. His podcast is Diary of a CEO. Can't remember his last name. I think it's
So that's Stephen Bartlett. He is my favorite podcast.
So I've been motivated by his closing tradition, whereas the guests leave a question for the next guest coming up. Right? However, I switched that around.
Okay.
Because my podcast is about health and wellness. I ask my guests to leave an encouraging words for the next guest coming up. And the guest before you leave a motivation for you. So the motivation that the guest left for you, not knowing who they would leave it for, is motivate yourself, be the best versions of you, and be in tune with your body so that you could be the best version for your family. So that's your motivation.
Well, Brian, I actually need to hear that motivation in terms of investing in myself. That's something that I need to do more of. When you wear too many hats, or so many hats, sometimes you're last on the list. So thank you for that tradition. I really love it.
You are a woman of many hats. You wear many hats. I didn't even get to touch the fact that you lecture at the university. But I really do appreciate you taking the time out to give us some insight. You know what I mean? But I do appreciate it. And you enjoy the Easter Monday with your family. And you continue being the person that you are. And take care of yourself.
I want to encourage you too, because you're onto something here. And as I said, even if your podcast helps one person, that one person can be the mother or father of many generations, or their great grandson could be the one who cured cancer.
Definitely.
Right?
I'm not giving up. As I said to people, like, because I have a purpose for this podcast, I'm not giving up. As long as I can get people to interview, I will not give up. I will carry on. So thank you for the encouraging words.
All right. Take care.
All right. Bye.